Hello and welcome to the Aid Station. I'm Chris Robb, and today we meet Enrico Fili, who is the CEO of RCS Sport and Events, DMCC. Enrico is normally based in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, but has just recently returned to Milano, his hometown, to come and see his family. And today he got caught in a traffic jam on the way there. There was an accident, so he's got the wonderful, beautiful backdrop of a street in Milano. Wonderful to see you, Enrico. Thanks for taking the trouble.
Thank you very much, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here, and let's see what next. What's next?
No, wonderful to meet you, and an interesting, challenging times for you. I'd love to just start by getting a little bit about your background, please, Enrico.
Well, let's say I have a pretty strange background, I will say, because I changed a lot of position inside. Before I was in the consulting, then I jumped into RCS, where I was in the HR department, organization and blah, 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 and development. Then I jumped into the digital, where I've been the head of the e-commerce and the digital in my home company, that is RCS Media Group. It's a listed company in Milan. And 3 years ago, there was the opportunity for me to change completely, to come to Dubai and take the responsibility of this company that has been there since 2013, that manages professional events for the UAE and in general for all the Middle East and Asia. So for me, it was a big step, because of course I was not coming from the event organization, but from media and digital and consulting. But let's say in this time it's better to have, according to me, a 360-degree background instead to be stuck in one single thing, because with all the changes you need to be flexible. You need to take some learning from different perspectives. So now it's 3 years. I'm very happy, and I'm in Dubai, and let's see with this COVID what will be the future of the professional events and the amateur events, of course.
Yeah. So you have a portfolio, obviously, of professional and amateur. And had you had any experience being in the Middle East before you went there?
No, completely a black hole for me. I didn't know anything. When they told me there is a chance to go to Dubai, I have to take the map and see where it was, because I was never been there before. So, and but in any case, I think let's say my curriculum was missing an international experience. So for me, it's been a great opportunity. So yeah, I took the job, let's say.
Yeah, what a wonderful opportunity. And life's been interesting, as you said. You just flew in recently back home to see your family. What's life been like in Dubai during the COVID lockdown?
Well, it was similar to the one of let's say what we have experienced in Milan and other cities. So it was a complete lockdown. Let's say the government there is very strict, and very cautious. So I think they went in lockdown well before other countries compared to the curve of the contagious. They use a lot the digital, because let's say UAE has invested heavily in digital citizenship and things like that. So for them, it's very easy to have a clear idea of how many people there are in the country, how many people left the country, where are the people in this moment. So I think the technology has been used very well. So they were able to keep the contagious very, very low. In any case, we stuck at home as anyone in the world.
Yeah.
And there's little by little, let's say the challenge was for the kids, of course, because they have to do e-learning.
Yeah.
But they enjoy very much, and we enjoyed also very much to stay so much time with the kids. That never happened, because both me and my wife were working there. So let's say pros and cons. Sometimes I wanted to cry because there was too much kids exposure.
Yeah.
But then it was nice. Let's say they enjoy, they learn a lot. So I think that in general it will be a nice memories in our life. So no problem at all, I would like to say. Of course, we cannot come back to Italy. So 7 months, we have let's say my mom and the parents of my wife, let's say, are a little bit old. So, 7 months without seeing them has been a challenge. Unluckily, the parents of my wife took the corona in Italy, but luckily they went well now, so they are both okay. And yeah, let's see.
Wow. And you said the children, how many children and what ages?
I have 2 children. One is 11 and one is 6.
Okay, so interesting. I've got a little 5-year-old, nearly 6-year-old boy. So imagine he's full of energy, wanting to be talking all the time, and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But they start learning how to do chatting, WhatsApp, with many instruments. So in the end, they don't feel lonely. They have the possibility to express themselves and, let's say, doing PlayStation together with the people in Italy.
Yeah,
So it's not physical, but mental training.
Yeah, and connection all over the world. That's amazing. And so when you go back now, will you need to go into some kind of quarantine or?
Yes, let's say that I am here officially for work. Let's say so there is a kind of flexibility. So you have 5 days in which, let's say, let's work. I arrived yesterday. I had 48 hours before going into quarantine, and yeah, so I will go in the quarantine tomorrow exactly. And yeah, but because I need to go to work, but I don't have to see anyone basically. So it's in Italy we say it's a fiduciary quarantine. I don't know if fiduciary is the English translation because it's up to us to behave in a correct way. Of course, my family is stuck at home. They are not going out. I'm going out just because I have to do some things, but I will, let's say, I will be video calling basically.
Yeah.
So no problem.
Wow. And then when you go back again to Dubai, back into quarantine there?
Now in Dubai it works like this. When you land in Dubai, they took the test. You took the test. You will have the test in less than 24 hours. So in that day you need to stay home or in the specific hotel. They forced you to download an app so they can track you.
Yeah.
Once you receive the test, you are free to go, if negative, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
So all the tourists will end up with having the test. Yes. However, in UAE, let's say everyone is tested. I got 3 tests up until now being Dubai.
Wow.
In Italy, there is people that never been tested because the strategy is different. Yeah. But of course, Dubai is a little place. No, in the end, they can test everyone if they want.
Yeah.
So it's the difference between a little country and a big country. So.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty amazing. So I guess many challenges along the way, and one of your challenges was very early on with the tour of UAE having to be cancelled midway. You had the athletes with coronavirus that had to be quarantined in the hotel. That must have been a very challenging experience.
Yes, it has been a very challenging experience because unfortunately we were the first professional event hit by the coronavirus. So imagine we have, let's say for the tour, there are 600 people involved between athletes, team, organization, government. So suddenly at the night of the 5th stage, they came, they told us not to stay in the hotel, and then they announced the quarantine for everyone. So we were stuck in 3 hotels in Abu Dhabi, nice hotel. So let's say in terms of accommodation, no problem. But of course, what we didn't expect, because let's say, of course, being the main organizer on behalf of the Sport Council, we were the only entity knowing exactly who was in the country, where they were. Luckily, we were extremely organized. So we know exactly in which room was a single athlete, a single person. So immediately the government took us like a special team for people, and we work 24 hours per day for, let's say, without sleeping for 3-4 days in order to arrange everything. Because the first step, of course, was to quarantine and isolate the potential positive. Because the first positive were some mechanics of one of the teams. So all the riders and the mechanic has been isolated by floor inside an hotel, while the organization were in another hotel. Then they start massively testing everyone. So once one hotel was completely negative, they allowed them to release and go back home. While in the case of the riders, anytime they do a test, they discover one positive. When you discover one positive, you have to isolate all the people he has met. Now the contact tracing. So this concept that now are normal in February was absolutely unknown to anyone. So
Yeah.
the reaction of the people was, of course, let's say there was let's say, I would like to say not the intelligent and the stupid, but let's say the most flexible and the less flexible. The most flexible understood that they stood in the hotel waiting for their turn. The less flexible, they say, no, this is a violation of human rights. They cannot keep. They call the embassy. And let's say this has caused a lot of stress. I imagine that when in the morning when I open the WhatsApp, you know, when the big influencer, they have all the screen full of messages. I have 600 people writing when I will be released from the prison. You know? So it's it has been challenging, especially because some of the riders has a big social follower.
Yeah.
Lots of, and so they start. Some of them they start doing. I can say stupid, but I want to say stupid. Some let's say superficial things like posting video inside my hotel like they were in a jail, but they weren't in a jail. Of course, it was the first day they were not used to the quarantine. Now they are doing quarantine every 2 days, so and nobody cares. But it was challenging because the media were pushing, of course, to understand better why they were keeping there the people, if the human rights were respected, blah, blah, blah. But of course they were respected. However, everything went well. So after 3 days, we were able to release 300 people. After other 5 days, other 200. And then little by little, once all the contact tracing were negative, they start releasing the last teams. So I think that, let's say, the 99% of the population left the country after 1 week. So they didn't lose so much time. But another great learning is that the time in quarantine is something that never ends. So it seems that they have been there for 1 month. Instead, they stay, maybe some of them stay 1 day more of what was expected. So nothing. However, let's say, then you know that this COVID on the positive can last a lot. So the last guy stayed 45 days.
Wow.
So some of, let's say, the last people leaving the country were very, very stressed because they were isolated for 45 days, basically. And this was very a challenge, especially for young guys that used to train. It was very painful, I must say, but we were trying to be as near as possible to them, providing, I don't know, food or different kind of food, something. But let's say the other thing is that out of 18 positive, basically just 1 or 2 have some symptoms. The other ones were totally asymptomatic. And so this was for them already more strange again, because they were feeling good. Perfect. Just the test say positive. They were staying stuck in a room, basically. However, let's say now it's past, and all the world knows what is happening. So, however, it has been a challenge. I learned a lot, really, and how to manage this kind of emergency. So I think that we are very well prepared for the future. In order to manage a situation like this. Also, the authorities, they learn a lot from this experience. I must say that I don't know the other country, but I must say that UAE has an amazing capability of organizing things like this. So they have procedure, they have technology, they have people. So let's say I must say that there was never panicking. And everything has been managed very, very professional. So I think that for them has been a great achievement also.
Yeah. And I guess, one of the things for me that's coming out of COVID across many industries, but in our industry particularly, is this massive amount of collaboration. People who would not normally share their experiences and their protocols with people are collaborating and sharing. So I guess from your perspective, the lessons that you learned there must be hugely valuable to RCS now as an organization. And obviously that's internal collaboration, but you're planning for hopefully the Giro to go ahead, and obviously the whole cycling industry, the pro
Yeah.
section is due to come back to racing soon. So have you been sharing that knowledge with a lot of people, lots of workshopping and brainstorming
Yeah, of
with,
course.
with
No,
other
not
events?
too many workshop, honestly. Not too many workshop, but of course internally, yes. Then let's say the people that is working the UAE are the same people that is working for the Giro, so
Yeah,
they took directly this experience to the race.
yeah,
Also in terms of now we have presented to the Italian government a protocol
yeah,
for managing the COVID during the race that has been very appreciated. Yeah, let's say, but of course, I'm available to share the knowledge to anyone. I have a lot of conversation in this day with other organizers.
yeah,
Of course, now the government all around the world are taking their own procedure and their own regulation. So I think that the first step in any case is to check what they're doing before inventing protocols and regulation out of nothing.
mm,
The only thing that I can suggest to anyone, especially where you have a professional and a lot of people from the organization, from the people that you manage and the people indirectly that you manage, supplier, etc., is to track them, to track in a sense that to know exactly name and mobile number of all the people working with you or for you or around you or indirectly for you, etc., etc.
mm, mm,
Because if something happened, this is the only way to track the people really and to make them go home as soon as possible. Because if you start not to have the name, who is this guy? I don't know, but this is working for you. I don't know. It creates so much hassle and a sense of uncertainty also in the government that need the answer.
mhm.
That I think this is a pitfall you must avoid.
Yeah.
And
Wow, that's
then when you know the regulation, of course, you apply the protocol and the procedure. But let's say if something happened, you must be, let's say, you must know everything.
mm.
So
Wow, no,
this is the big rule I understood from the big lesson I learned.
yeah, no, great advice. I always like to end the aid station with something inspirational. Is there, I mean, you must have seen some incredibly inspirational things during COVID and outside of COVID. Is there one little story maybe that you can share with people that are watching, please?
Oh, well, let's say it's I don't know if it's let's say I can say this. During the COVID, there were let's say one thing that I really appreciate is that there were these mechanics that were working that were positive. That let's say not for their fault, but they were the people that created the contagion inside the race, inside everything. I must say that I never seen anyone complaining about these guys that were very humble people that were working for the teams. So something that I learned that is very inspirational for me is that one thing that I appreciate, notwithstanding the situation, the stress, is that nobody has ever, let's say, condemned or saying bad word against another team that was, let's say, the cause of this, the cause,
Hmm.
quote unquote, of course. And there
Hmm.
was a lot of solidarity. So this I learned, I liked very much from the professional riders that were there. So of course there were people complaining, but not against the others, and that's a little bit a step, because sometimes you tend to accuse someone. Hey, you are the guy. You must be keeping quarantine only you. And when I say instead nothing happened, there was a lot of solidarity between the teams. They were helping each other even during the quarantine. So they were sharing knowledge, sharing things. So I appreciate this, and I think that it's something that is very important in sport.
Yeah.
No? So yeah.
And look, that's always been my experience of cycling. The peloton and the way that they work together and support each other. I think it's got many applications in life. So yeah, it's a wonderful story to end. Enrico, I really appreciate you making the time. Thank you for finding a cafe on the way in to make the time to speak.
It's a
It's wonderful
pleasure.
to have that backdrop, and I wish you a wonderful visit with your parents and a safe trip
Thank
back to
you.
Dubai, and hopefully a great season ahead soon, whenever that may start. But I really wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris, for the opportunity, and keep in touch for the future.
you.